Hi, and welcome to Australian Gamers Friday Night Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Yug.
Tonight we'll have a big eGames Roundup.
Talk about the PlayStation 3 launch in the States.
And the Wii launch in the States.
The Wii. That's a big deal. You've got the two consoles
Both
launching.
consoles, yeah. The next gen is here.
It was actually here when the 360 launched.
Not according to Sony.
Right. Fair enough. Well, actually, before we get to that, I'd prefer just to quickly do a roundup of eGames.
Yes, we might as well.
Because we went to eGames.
We've been spending a lot of time talking about it. And
if you did listen to the last podcast, we were there doing it on stage.
Which you would know from having listened to the last podcast.
If you didn't, I was making it clear to anyone that didn't listen to the last podcast.
Yeah, but you said if you listened to the last one, we were there. Yeah. Whereas you probably should have said if you didn't listen to the last one.
You should be aware that we were there.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much for that.
Here to help. I got you back, man. That's cool.
I hate you.
Yeah, no, I know. I hate you too.
No, I really do.
Anyway, so moving on. eGames Roundup. What was your highlight of eGames?
Actually, you know what? For me, and I've talked about this in the forums a bit, my highlights were the things that we actually did up on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to have been a regular punter. What does punter even mean?
One who punts.
Right, okay. I would have loved to have been someone that, paid my money, walked into the event, lined up for the Wii 6 times and played the games and, then went into the Gears of War.
Yeah,
I just didn't get to anything that had a line.
I know what you mean.
I wasn't able to do because we only had like about 20 to 25 minutes between each thing up on stage.
Yeah, we had these little blocks.
Where we had to run back and get up and introduce them again.
Yeah, I went over and talked to Ramon. Is it Raymond or Ramon? I think it's
Raymond. It'd be pretty cool if it was Raymond.
Raymond. Ah.
Yeah.
Ramon, anyway. About that, and was basically just complaining that it sucks.
He was the crazy guy.
He was the crazy MC dude.
For anyone that did go, this guy...
Or went to Game 1, because he was there too.
This guy is nuts. He doesn't actually work for Nintendo. He works for some other PR company, I think.
I can't remember what their name was.
I can't remember either. But this guy, non-stop, all day...
Yeah.
You know what he
reminded
me of? You know how you see, like, Crazy John's warehouse shutting down stuff? He was like that.
He was a spruiker.
Except Asian.
Yeah, he was basically a spruiker.
He was
for
a
Nintendo.
spruiker.
Do you know what I reckon he does?
The Nintendo spruiker. The surprise spruiker.
Do you know what I reckon he does? I reckon he's just up for the whole, like, that whole 3 days, and at the end of every day he just goes home and beats his kids. I reckon he does. Just so much pent up energy.
That's
probably a little harsh.
I've just got this image now of this guy who was really quite friendly, really nice.
No, he was a great guy.
Beating his kids.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It helps him cope.
Oh,
You've got to have a positive outlet.
I can't even remember where we've come. We were talking about the best thing about eGames.
Christy. Christy from Swing Gamers.
Swing
yeah,
Gamers.
She was.
Yeah.
She was a very attractive young lady, and I promised not to stalk her. And by the way, she should get new curtains.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Yeah, see this
connecting the dots now. Yeah, okay.
She doesn't really have curtains. She's got like more of a shutter thing.
Oh.
Anyway, no, she was good. And that actually it was really good. Probably my highlight, aside from the stuff we did on stage, a lot of which was really fun, was people like Christy and other people that we met there. Some of the interesting, cool people that we met. Some of the completely freaking crazy people that we met also. That was cool.
Pretty much everyone from Woot Show, I would actually class as completely crazy.
But see, they fit in both categories because they were kind of cool as well.
They were. Well, who do you... do you mean crazy like Purple Shiny Magician Man?
Purple Shiny Magician Man. But we didn't really meet him, and you know my main problem with him was, apart from the fact that he sold what appeared to be a crap product and was dressed as a shiny purple magician man. Which to me are both pluses.
You got to give the man credit for actually going to this thing dressed up like that. I mean, that wasn't even a cosplay, was it? That was just...
I don't think that was a costume. I think that was his PJs. I think he actually walks around the house in that.
Yeah, that's how he goes to work. Maybe he goes, wakes up of a morning, thinks, oh, I've got a program for this. I've got to sell this program.
Yeah.
I've got to sell this, computer protection program to people. Let me see. I've got my suit. I've got my
great
jeans and shirt. There's pinstripes. or there's the shiny purple magician
Purple
robe.
magician suit.
I think I'm going to go that one for the weekend.
Yeah, that's a winner.
Anyway, what was your other issue with him?
Really bad breath.
Really?
Yeah, he came up to me a few times and was like, I need to do this, So can you say yes? And I'd be like dying. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Okay.
I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast because that'd be really embarrassing.
So that was your highlight of the event, was it?
No,
the bad breath from the shiny
no,
purple magician
I was saying
man.
that I met cool people and
Yes,
some crazy people, but some of the cool crazy people, I'm not referring to the actually probably certifiable
crazy.
No,
the fun
people.
crazy.
Fun
sort
crazy
of thing.
people.
Okay.
Different people.
Look, it was really good, and I mean our perspective is a bit biased, I feel, because we were directly involved with it. So we were there all 3 days. A lot of people that went only could go for 1 day.
Yeah.
One of the big criticisms that I've heard back in the forums is a lot of people saying that there wasn't much to do. They got there, and after about an hour or two, they just left because there wasn't much to do. And you know what? That's fair enough if you came there just wanting to play the games, which is fair because it's a gaming event. It did have a lot of substance to it.
In the keynotes and panels.
In the keynotes and panels, they were very industry focused and more specifically focused and things like that. And there were a lot of the booths and stuff like that had like booths for universities or booths for computer hardware or certain hardware which is out of the reach of the average person who doesn't have $8,000 to spend on a go-kart machine.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
those of us
or
who
virtual reality goggles. Or
those of us who punt.
But I still found it all quite cool. I mean,
it was.
I think if you actually went round to every booth and actually looked at each one, you'd probably find them all quite interesting, and you'd probably find.
Yeah. At the same time, though, there were a lot of computer hardware stores, and that was cool because a lot of them, provided hardware and stuff for competitions, and that went to charity, and I don't begrudge them their right to be there. But when there's 3 or 4 hardware stores, computer hardware stores, you're not going to go really and have much of a look.
Oh, no, fair enough. I thought, look, there was some. I mean, people complaining that $16 when I stayed for a couple of hours. $16 to play Wii games that aren't out.
Yeah,
Gears of War and
go
a whole
see
bunch
a
of other
movie
games
that's $16.
Yeah, look, I actually really don't think it was that bad quality. I mean, value for money at all. One of the things that was interesting that I found out was that a lot of the arcade machines that were there, someone had pointed out on the Hyper forums, I think, that it uses MAME, which they were saying some of them were using MAME, which was entirely uncool, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, right, you don't care.
No, I care. I just wonder why that is uncool, because if I was making an arcade machine, it would be made
because
with MAME.
the actual people, the owners of those properties are not getting.
Yeah, no, it would have been like us going into
with a modded Xbox
or something.
It's just that same sort of thing, which I just no, I'm not. I'm very.
I know what you mean. And another thing is that
admittedly, I do actually have a modded Xbox, but I probably wouldn't take it to an expo. Like that,
we even talked about that, and then we decided that's a bad idea.
That is a bad idea. Well, because we want the retro games and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because you've got one modded Xbox, you've got every
one modded Xbox, and I had every Super Nintendo game, which is great, and who cares? But it's like, and it also
it's a little bit uncool.
It's a little bit uncool, and you kind of like that retro. So holding the Super Nintendo controller was quite cool. But anyway,
that was good.
Yes, you've lost it.
No, I actually remembered it now. Another thing was that they were selling those things. They were actually selling those cabinets.
Okay.
And I think there's a sense of genuineness to having the original parts, and MAME is a bit of a cheat, really.
Yep, fair enough.
Which is fine if the price reflected that, but you can make a MAME cabinet for not very much.
Yep. I'd also like to pay a special thanks to anyone and everyone in the audience that heckled us while we were up on stage.
Yeah, thanks for that.
A special note probably goes to all the Internode people who were in the audience the entire time.
Yeah.
Who we heckled back towards the end.
Yeah, because we knew them by then.
Yeah, that's right, and I felt comfortable making fun of them.
Because they had to take notes.
Yeah.
Of everything everyone said.
Even us?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope our blithering in between had to get noted down and typed out later.
But we even got heckled by AJ
we got
in our podcast.
heckled by our own minion. I'm not cool with that.
Our own minion. Could you stop calling them minions?
I love calling them minions.
They're not minions.
I always wanted minions.
They're not your minions.
What about henchmen?
Maybe henchmen.
AJ in particular is kind of henchman.
He's got that sort of henchman sort of look.
He's a
that
bit
evil
shifty.
henchman.
He is
shifty. It's like his eyes just dart left to right, don't they?
See, we don't really need his help anymore because we've done eGames now.
So you're just going to bag him out and insult him now that it's all done?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's on now. No, I know we've said this, I think, in the last couple of podcasts and on the side a bit, but AJ was amazing.
AJ
on the
Ty,
weekend.
actually, yeah.
AJ and T.
Ty. God, I keep saying Ty.
Yes.
It's actually T. Yep.
Yes. They were brilliant, and we really couldn't have done it without them.
No.
Well, we could have, but it would have been crap.
It would have been. And, I mean, once again, this really raises the bar for Oracle in Sydney.
I'd also like to say thanks
time.
to Flying Fridge and Sniper Extreme
for manning the booth.
From the floor.
Well,
forums.
sort of manning the booth, actually, because Flying Fridge was hungover on Sunday and Sniper Extreme had food poisoning on Saturday.
In fairness, though, we got Sniper Extreme sick because he ate the food at the event,
That's
and
not our fault.
We kind of got Flying Fridge sick too
because he came out.
Because he came out.
Yeah. So anyway, look, you can
Turns out Melbourne people are lightweights. Who knew?
Yeah. Look, we had to come down. What do you mean, Melbourne? You had 2.
Actually,
drinks.
I had 4.
Ooh. Oh, you had 4.
I had a date that was far more interesting than hanging out with you lot.
You had a date.
I did. That was good.
That's lovely.
It was fun.
I'm sure it was.
That was fun.
I said I'm sure it was.
Whatever, but you said it. You had a tone.
What are you, my mother? You had a tone. Don't use that tone of voice with me. Anyway, look, let's stop talking about eGames because, frankly, there's enough coverage of it on the front of our site.
And
Matt
everyone
and I
else's
are
site.
basically doing Yeah, that's right. And I think I've posted coverage of it on every single forum available to man.
Hunting and fishing.
What?
There's like a hunting and fishing site out there with a link to our coverage.
Yes, that's right. Hunters and Fishers Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Yes.
Because you don't want the birds to know who shot you.
The relative birds of the bird that you shot.
Oh, I see.
They'll
sort of
stalk
like
you
angry,
and chase you
vengeful
down.
birds.
You'll wake up in the morning, they'll just be sitting there
like
on the
plovers.
windowsill.
They're little bastards.
They'll just be looking at you, waiting for you to walk out of
I
your
heard
house.
a story
and they'll
once.
swoop you.
Like the birds. I heard a story once about a guy who had a crow following him, and it would fly around after him everywhere, and it freaked him out. So he had it captured and removed, and it flew back. So I'm telling the story quickly.
Yeah.
And
Not quick enough, but go on.
I know. He had it captured and removed, and it flew back. So he had it captured and removed again, and it flew back again. So he had it shot. And apparently from then on, crows followed him everywhere, just like hundreds of them.
Really?
Apparently that's a true story, but I heard from a friend who heard it from a friend. So I really doubt it's actually a true story. But I love the concept that this guy kills one crow and the rest just watch him. All the other crows. Yeah.
The crows are watching you.
Yes.
All right. Well, look. Let's move on because we've only got 3 topics, but they're big topics.
They are indeed.
And, let's move on.
Probably the biggest topic ever.
I would actually, I know the Wii has launched as well, the Wii and the PlayStation 3, but the PlayStation 3 launch to me is actually a lot more interesting.
To me, it's also while not in any way talking about its like critical success or how much people want it or how well it'll do. I think the PlayStation 3's launch is a bigger event in a way. It's more anticipated. It's kind of more.
I think it's more a case that. Actually,
it's hypier.
I can't speak. Well, no. Actually, no.
I think
I can't speak for everyone else, but my personal opinion of the PlayStation 3 is I still refuse to believe that Sony can possibly have done as much wrong as people are saying.
Yeah, it has not been a universally proclaimed product.
No, it was interesting because there's just been a thing that came out that Bill Gates actually said that the PlayStation 3 will sell really well over Christmas because of its brand.
Yeah.
Because the brand of the PlayStation 3 is so powerful.
Didn't he say you could write the name Sony on bricks?
I don't know.
I think he said something about you could write the name Sony on bricks
and people would buy
would buy it.
Interesting. Just a little side story. There's a pub just down the road from us where they actually have a brick wall in the place that's actually not plastered over or anything.
Right.
And they said it was for charity. They sold advertising on each brick for $100 per brick.
Isn't there a website that's got like something to do?
There's a
with
website that's got a million pixels.
Yeah.
And every pixel is a URL, and it costs you $1 to buy each pixel, and the guy made $1 million.
I approve of that.
That is awesome, isn't it?
It's like the guy who traded a paperclip for a house, I think.
What?
Did you hear about that?
No.
He basically made a succession of deals with people that each person would trade him for something of a slightly higher value.
Yeah.
So he started with a paperclip and traded it to someone for 3 nails and a screw or something like that. Yeah. And then he traded them for, a box of matches and so on. And so on and so on. And he actually, in the end, ended up with a house.
What did he trade to get the house?
Oh, it was like a
lesser
a
house
car or
car.
Something, like a couple of cars. It wasn't like a mansion.
That's
in
quite
New York.
amazing. Quite a lot of effort, though. I would imagine.
It was a long series.
Oh, I'd imagine you'd get to the more expensive things, and people would be a lot more hesitant to trade a car for a house. Wouldn't they? I mean,
yeah, I can't remember what he had just before the house. I can't remember what he actually traded.
Anyway, look, whoa, way off topic. Can we get back to the PlayStation 3? Now, I mean, yeah, well, look, we've read a lot of reports. I mean, there's been the hobo bashing. Can you stop fiddling with your cables?
I did not touch
you just
the cable.
Did. Look, you're touching it now.
To stop it making that hissing noise.
You don't touch it to stop it.
Yes, you do.
Stop touching it. Stop.
I'm not touching it.
Stop touching yourself.
I'm not. Anyway. You were saying hobos.
Hobos, pregnant women, and rapists.
Yes.
I believe is the general theme of the PlayStation 3 lines.
Yeah, well, in the US. Oh, no, and in Japan as well when you go...
It's more the hobo
route.
sort of thing,
that's the hobo area.
But look, the initial reports coming in, and I mean, I don't think anyone is particularly surprised, is that it's not quite very good.
It's not done yet.
No, it seems
that's kind of one of the common sort of expectations. The funny thing was reading the New York Times article, it was kind of bashing it a little bit.
Yep.
Everything they said, you could say the same of the PSP. It's
really?
Very, very, very... Like, you could replace PlayStation 3 with PSP, and it's almost the exact same feel. It's like, why would you do it this way? Why wouldn't you do it this way? I don't understand. Things like the interface, where I was talking about a stupid numeric... like an almost mobile phone style interface for text input. The PSP has the same, and it's horribly unusable.
Right. That doesn't surprise me too much because that's a big thing that they want to do. They want to try and integrate the PlayStation 3 to
the whole menu system is very
the
similar.
PSP. And one of the things which I think is really crappy, which we just heard about, are the prices for the PlayStation 1 games. That's been released in the US. I think it's $6 for some games and $11 for other PlayStation 1 games, which, in order to get them onto the the PSP, you have to download them to the PlayStation 3's hard drive first.
Yep.
And then copy it. So you have to have a PlayStation 3.
Yeah, that's a pretty high price of entry for a PlayStation 1 game on a PSP.
I mean, maybe they're looking towards the future, maybe they're thinking, but... there's inevitable comparisons to the Xbox 360, and an interesting quote I heard was that it's interesting because Microsoft have always been about software, and Sony have always been about hardware. And hold on, I was going somewhere.
I think I see where you're going with it actually, which is that basically they're using this software as a way to sell hardware.
Yes,
they're using the PS1 software on the PSP, a totally different set of hardware, to try to sell PlayStation 3s, which is to me a bizarre thing to do.
I'll go with that. Yep.
Yeah, I figured I'd at least save you.
Thanks.
At the very least, that's kind of offensive to me because the assumption that you must have a PS3, it's just kind of rude. I don't have a PS3. A good example is the PSP.
Yep.
In order to access a lot of features, including the latest update to the firmware, you actually have to have a wireless connection.
Yeah,
You can't just plug it in.
They do assume.
Why?
I think one of the most interesting things in the New York Times article that was citing. Well, actually, it's linked to in our forum sort of thing, and Matt's the next update will have links to it as well.
Yep.
But it basically said the guy was really surprised by how much effort it took to actually get up and running straight out of the box.
Among other things, yeah.
Compared to the Xbox 360, where literally, and even I found this sort of doing it. It's like take it out, put it in, you're set up within like 2 minutes, and you're signed up to an account, you're ready to play. It is so Mac-like simple. Whereas from what I've heard, the PlayStation 3, there's like a whole. It takes you ages to actually get set up, sort of thing.
And the cables aren't included.
Cables aren't included.
That's hard.
You need to actually plug in the. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the high definition
cables on a
not
system
included.
That is intended to sell almost completely on the basis of being high definition.
That is absolutely crazy.
And
other small
cables.
things, like you have to actually plug in the controllers first for them to actually detect.
Yeah, to sync with the.
It's like, dude, it's why that.
Yeah. A few other things, like in order to get back to your message system and stuff, you actually have to quit games.
Yeah.
There's no centralized friends list.
No,
kind of thing.
no. I mean, I understand that. I mean, Microsoft are up to their second generation on their online side of things, so they've really honed it, sort of thing. You know, they've got.
But wouldn't you? Call me Cheetah McPhee, but wouldn't you just steal what the other guys had done and do it better?
I think that's what everyone thought PlayStation were going to do, but it doesn't look like they have. Anyway, look, most of this stuff is still fairly speculative, and we're reading these reports from people who have gotten their hands on the PlayStation 3
we have
themselves.
not, in fact, actually played a PlayStation 3.
But we're actually going to be getting our grubby little hands on one this Wednesday.
Yeah, so
we actually managed to get one imported. Is Sony going to sue us now for that?
They're going to close down the website we bought it from.
All right, cool. All right, well, look, this is our last podcast that we're ever going to do. Thank you very much for listening. We're fine.
It's
the website we got it
the
from?
website we bought it off.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to
sorry, we're not actually buying a PlayStation 3. It's actually
someone else.
A friend of ours, sort of thing, and he's going to lend it to us to plug in and play and see what it's like. So look, we'll give you we'll do a feature of it. We'll give you our impressions and our thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, straight from the horse's mouth, and by horse I mean Matt.
Yeah, I'm a horse. I am like a horse in some ways. Yes. What? You started that.
I know. I just handed that one to you. I didn't even realize it. But okay, look, I think that's enough talk on the PlayStation 3. I mean, while we're at eGames, Sony were also there. Michael Ephraim.
Sony was surprisingly absent from eGames, I thought. Apart from the keynote.
No, Sony had the PSP set up there.
Yeah,
they had their truck with Guitar Heroes.
I would have liked to have seen
SingStar.
a bit more of the PlayStation 3.
Well, I don't think they were. I mean, in the same.
I don't
respect
think they've got any reason to. It doesn't come out till March.
In the same respect that, like, Nintendo are fairly restricted by what they can actually show in Australia. Very restricted from what I know. Sony are as well, sort of. I mean, all of these companies are dictated by whatever their American counterparts say. I mean, from what I've talked to...
Blah, 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 blah.
No, look, from what I've heard from a lot of the PR people for the Australian divisions of these companies, they basically say, look, we've talked to the American, our parent company, and they just said no. What are we supposed to say? What can we do? Can we show this game here in Australia? No. Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Cool. No, I just don't understand why. It's not even a matter of not understanding why they have a specific company policy. It's a matter of thinking that policy sucks. I would have liked to have seen more of the PlayStation 3. I would have liked to have seen video of the PlayStation 3.
Considering it's launched in the States, there's no real reason why it shouldn't have been
I would
shown.
have liked to have seen anything other than company policy and rhetoric being yawned out of an aging man on the... Actually, I probably shouldn't say that. Actually, you know what?
No, let's say it. Why not?
Well, because he might actually hear the podcast and think I said he's an aging...
Well, come on, the last podcast you called the Activision guy a corporate shield.
Shield?
Shield? No, corporate shill. Shrill, sorry.
Shill.
Shill. What's shill mean?
Someone who sells stuff, basically.
Right.
But it's a dodgy term. A shill is someone who will sell anything no matter what. It's like a snake oil kind of.
Okay, all right. Well, then Well, that's enough on the PlayStation 3 for now. Look, we'll put up our impressions of it after we've played it, give it a go. But yeah, look, it's just not looking good for Sony.
Yeah.
And
From our point of view, and this is just our opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, about maybe 6 months ago, probably a year maybe,
Yep.
I wasn't that keen on Nintendo. I wasn't that keen on where they were going, but they've sold me. Sony's got to do the same job now.
Okay. No, fair enough.
They've got to convince me, and I'm thus far unconvinced.
Look, that's a good lead into the Nintendo Wii, which is also launched in the States, with less hobos and less murders and less rapists, I do believe.
Yeah, lower rapist quotient.
Yeah, definitely, for the Nintendo. More pedophiles, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting.
Yeah. But look, the Nintendo Wii's launched, and I mean, anyone that's listening to this podcast probably knows everything about it already. Anyway, I mean,
probably.
What else do we have? Anything to say relevant?
Nothing
to say
at all,
that,
except it's cool. I've been really surprised by how well the Wii's been received. Like, it's funny.
You're
I know
surprised about that.
Yes, to the degree that it's been interesting. Like, I was talking to the girl, to the when I say middle-aged, probably 50-ish woman who was working the
food stall.
The
I think you told
cafeteria,
me this.
And like she was really excited
yep.
about the Wii.
Right. Okay.
And people like this is going to sound a bit strange, but people who play World of Warcraft actually tend to not be hardcore gamers. There's only a fairly small proportion that are actually hardcore gamers.
Can all be brought back to World of Warcraft with you, can't
But
it?
even talking to people in the guild and stuff, like 90% of them are really enthusiastic about the Wii.
Yep.
Except one who's like, the Wii sucks. It's just a GameCube, PlayStation 3 will rule.
That is another opinion. Actually, I heard another criticism of it, which is Nintendo are no longer catering to the hardcore gamers.
You know what? That's actually my concern as well. That is probably... I mean, you look through the release list...
Yep.
And I think Red Steel is one of the few that stands out as
so
being...
far, some of they haven't been... the reviews of Red Steel haven't exactly been favourable.
No, they haven't been particularly... I think Zelda will be a saving grace. It got amazingly good reviews. It got
except
like
on
nutty
GameSpot, which gave it 8.8.
But 8.8 is a great score.
It is a great score.
It's
There's
not as great as everyone
that.
else's, but still...
Look, I mean, look, I love the Zelda series. I've played every Zelda game since the one that came out on the NES. Admittedly, I've only finished 2 of them. Charming. But look, I'm a big fan of Zelda, but I also realise that it is the exact same concept and game repeated every single time for every new console.
But haven't the newer ones, like the Wind Walker and stuff like that? Wind Waker.
Don't ask me. I
no,
got it wrong every single time.
We keep saying Wind Walker, but it's actually Wind Waker.
Okay, the Waker of Winds.
Waker of Winds. Kind of like a burrito. So yeah, it wasn't that a very different feel though to say the one before, whatever the Ocarina of Time.
No, it was like, hey, you're young Link. You're young Link, and you have to go on a quest to do something or other with the princess, and you do a lot of searching over a massive quantity of land, and there's all the familiar music and characters and...
But do you think that's inevitable? I mean, let's say you were to do a new Mario game, for example. He's not going to be an Arctic adventurer searching for a lost treasure.
Don't get me wrong. Like I don't actually have a problem with it. I mean, it is a tried and tested and true formula. It's interesting this because I mean we criticise companies like EA for continually churning out the same old game but with new graphics and new soundtracks and new features, but the same core game. Realistically, isn't that what Nintendo have been doing for the last 10 years?
Mario. What's Mario? Let's say he's just going to jump on some mushrooms and then he's going to bang his head.
I mean, I'm saying this, but I'm not even saying it from a critical point of view.
No,
I'm just
but
saying
it is a valid point. I see what
you
mean. It is. I mean, the Zelda games have always been the same game. The Mario games have always been the same game. They just update them. But at the same time, I think there's a difference between what is almost a contrived story to create a gameplay.
Yeah. And
what is really just a blatant cash grab. the Madden. I was reading something
I
really
think
scary about EA
EA
today.
needs a bit more money though, don't they? I mean, they're running short, aren't they?
I was reading something horribly, horribly scary today about
Yep.
EA that was talking. It was, I think it was an old article now, but it was basically the wife of a man who worked at EA, who was saying that her husband was now being forced to work 90-hour weeks, and they were unpaid, like no overtime paid.
So?
And that's apparently like policy.
Yep.
They get people in and they just pump up.
Yep, absolutely.
The hours.
Look, everyone, they should all work that long. Everyone in the game industry, that is the minimum amount of time they should all work.
I don't get it.
They should, absolutely.
I don't get it. I don't
Isn't
really
that
get
the
where
amount
you're
of
going
time you work?
No.
No? Okay.
No, it's the amount of time I tell you I work when I'm actually playing World of Warcraft.
You bastard. I knew it. I did know it. I knew it too.
Anyway, no, it's not always. But yeah, no, whatever.
Whatever. Okay.
Whatever. I just thought that was scary that a company like EA is basically making their offices into sweatshops. Gaming sweatshops.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what happens when you need 200 to 300 people working for 1 or 2 years on the one game sort of thing, you know. I mean, making games is no longer a small affair, except for a game like Warworld.
Yeah, that was really interesting, wasn't it?
I think we'll just finish off just with a quick story about this, because this is one of the things that was actually Morton Broderson from Third Wave Games, which is a local.
Not to be confused with Third World Games.
Well, what's Third World Games?
Oh, it's just basically trying to find food and stuff.
Okay.
Basic medical care, clean water. It's kind of fun for a little while, but
yeah,
you've only got one life, and
it goes too quickly.
Yeah.
Right. Jeez. Third Wave Games.
Sorry, I'm really sensitive and sophisticated today, aren't I?
No,
beating children.
No.
And
yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Third Wave Games is a local Australian developer, and Morton actually used to work at Rare.
Yeah.
And he also used to be the CEO of Blue Tongue, I believe. I could be wrong.
I think you might be right. That's familiar.
I might be right. But anyway, they made the game Warworld, which you can check out the site. There's a review of it up right now. My main criticism was not enough people actually playing it online.
Yeah.
It was 3 people that made that game. 3.
Yeah.
3. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Compared
there was a programmer, an artist, and a musician.
Compared to say, let's say, and no disrespect, but say Chrome. That now have 300 people working on, like, you know, a few games, but that's still more than 3.
Yeah, now it is an impressive effort, and it doesn't show.
No.
It does not look like the work of 3 guys
No,
who didn't even work in the same office.
No, not at all. But
they didn't ever work in the same office.
I guess this is the other thing, and this is, I think, the most surprising thing for me that's actually come out of the next generation systems, which is, you know what, it's not, to me, the most surprising thing is not the innovative controllers, it's not the high definition, it's not the games, it's not even the online, you know, capabilities or stuff like that. It's actually the smaller retro and arcade games.
Yeah, when you look at things like Geometry Wars,
and it's almost like this next generation is opening up the floodgates for smaller games again. Almost like when the Game Boy Advance came out and opened up the ability for them to port the older games for a whole new generation to experience them.
Yeah.
Again. So, do you know what I mean?
By coincidence, I was actually thinking a lot about this just today, because I was particularly thinking about with companies like EA, and then buying out publishers.
Yes.
That leaves very little competition in the marketplace. But I realised there's new companies like Third Wave Games, not that they're particularly new, but there is the capability for individuals to start making games. So with people like Microsoft, particularly with their, I can't remember what the acronym is.
XNA or?
XNA, is
I
that
think
it?
So.
I keep thinking it's like RDA or RNA or something like that.
No,
XNA
RNA
sounds
is
right.
Showgrounds, but keep going.
Yeah, the RNA is a Showgrounds. It's also ribose nucleic acid. But anyway.
You're too geeky for your own good.
I know.
Right, keep going.
Because there's a joke, what does DNA stand for? National Dyslexia Association. Someone actually told me that once, and they just looked at me and said, oh, what does DNA stand for? And I just looked at them and said deoxyribose nucleic acid, and just walked off. And they're like,
oh.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
right.
But yeah, no. There is the possibility with these tools being developed and being released for people to make games. And like you look at people like AJ, he's actually got a background in this kind of development, and he's starting to look at using these tools to get these skills up and maybe make a few demos. And who knows how many talented people are out there who are just going to go, I'm going to make a quick game, send it to Microsoft, and it goes
good
online.
Because he'll make this game and then we'll take a cut of any profits that
Damn
he gets.
straight. Anything he does with a computer, we have rights to.
Absolutely.
That's in the Minion contract that he signed.
It's henchman.
Yeah, no.
You know what? I'm actually. We really need to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay. We went over time for this one because we went under time for the last one because they were kicking us out.
They were
of the
kicking
expo.
us out. That's a little harsh.
But I want to finish this one up. It's been quite a passionate and informative podcast this time, as opposed to funny and stupid.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do about that next time.
Well, we need
guys.
to fix that up next time. But look,
we won't
just
do any research.
Lastly, I do just want to put out there that we are officially looking for 3 more people to join the team.
Yeah. I wondered where you were going with that for a second, but yeah, absolutely. We're getting more and more titles from more and more publishers. We're getting more and more exposure, and we've got less and less time to do it.
Yeah, and there's only so many games that AJ can review.
Yeah, I mean, we're pushing him, but seriously, he's really got to pick it up.
Yeah.
Because I think he's still got like a job and stuff, and that's got to go.
No, that's right. We've got to get that out of the way.
So, we're looking for basically for reviewers, contributors.
Look, by the time this podcast goes up, there'll be a post on the front of the site with more details.
Yeah, read that. We won't bother babbling about it now.
Yeah, that's right. But it's exciting, and I think the good thing about our site, if you join our site, it's personality based,
Yeah.
You will be one of the team, not just some faceless reviewer, but you'll actually be, brought in to help us at the next expo.
Yeah, basically, if there's a review in your city, we have to live with you.
That's
how it works.
From the airport, provide us with
around.
Tables and chairs, and we'll steal your furniture.
Yep.
We expect that.
Yep, absolutely.
At the very least.
Yep. So Oracle, if you're listening, which I think you always do, you're up.
You're up.
Unless we can actually find someone else in Sydney.
He realized he is paying for all our drinks.
Yeah.
That's expected.
He should have the bar tab set up by now.
Oh, he should. Absolutely.
In anticipation.
Good. It's got a big bar tab.
Oh, a big bar tab. Oh, yeah.
Oh, what? You'll have 4, will you?
5 this time.
Oh, you're splashing out.
I'm going crazy.
All right, look, thank you everyone for tuning in to our podcast. So any new listeners that have actually come to the site from any of these game expos, welcome. We promise the next podcast will be better.
We always promise that.
Yeah,
the trick is to under-promise and over-deliver, not the other way around. So we say, next one will be crap, and then we just work towards something actually good.
All right, I like that. Cool. Okay, thank you very much. And
the opposite of what Sony do.
Tune in next week.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.